And Dan, that's the point here on weaving this all together. On when people say to us, guys, why are you still talking about the Bears quarterback situation? Well, it's the most important position in football. There are more quarterbacks available this year than maybe ever. A lot of teams need one too, so you have more competition than maybe you ever have, and you've never really gotten it right. When we're debating Mitch Trubisky or Rex Grossman and Jay Cutler as the bar in the modern era, and we were talking about Jim McMahon and, stuff like this. So it brings us, A, how serious do you believe the Bears were on Stafford? And B, who do you think they're turning their attention to next?
Answer to A is not very serious. I use the analogy of there are a lot of VRBO houses that I've looked at in the last 3 to 4 weeks for a potential spring or summer getaway that were worth looking at, but I never got serious enough to start looking at the cancellation policy, if that makes sense to you, right? There's a little bit different definition of in the hunts for Matthew Stafford as opposed to, hey, I understand he's out there. What are you guys looking for? Pursuing it and perusing it are two very different things. So I don't think that they were heavily involved in that. I still, deep in my gut, feel like this is an offseason where they are going to end up drafting the quarterback of the future that they want. And so that leaves you to wrap your brain and your stomach around the idea of Nick Foles being your bridge starter who starts the 2021 season. That's a very real possibility for this organization. Look, there's a lot of things that need to happen with all these other teams, and the Bears have to be at every moment aware of what's happening with every quarterback and every other team in the league to see how all this thing shakes out. And I'll get to Abdallah's question in a minute, which is an important one to have here. But I think that when you're looking at this through a practical lens, I would not be shocked if they turn much of their attention to the 2021 draft rather than going for that free agent tier of guys that I think is largely just a lot of shrug guys. Don't you agree?
Don't you buy also, to start with the concept of drafting instead of signing or trading, doesn't that buy, for a couple of guys who may have job security issues, doesn't that buy them time? Doesn't that buy them more time?
I think when you're working at 1920 Football Drive in Lake Forest, it's hard to know what buys you time and what doesn't, honestly. I think that we learned this year that Ted and George have the utmost faith in Ryan's opinion of his football team. And so the day after next season, even if the Bears are bad and miss the playoffs and finish below 500, if Ryan comes into the conference room on the day after the season with George and Ted and says, yeah, but I think we're really close. I think that they are prone to believe him, as we learned this year, right? And so I don't know anymore what the standards and the expectations and the consequences for not meeting expectations are. It's all off the table because I don't know that they know, right? They say what the standards and expectations are, and then they don't always adhere to those in the end. So who knows?